Today we're diving into a drink that's often surrounded by music, laughter, and sometimes even a few questionable dance moves: tequila. It's the fiery spirit that instantly makes people think of Mexico, salt and lime rituals, and lively celebrations. But behind every shot poured or cocktail mixed is a centuries-old tradition rooted in careful farming, craftsmanship, and patience. Tequila isn't just made, it's cultivated, nurtured, and refined from a plant that takes years before it's ready to become the drink we know today. So let's slow things down and take a journey into the fields, distilleries, and barrels that bring tequila to life. Right here on History of Simple Things. Before we get into how tequila is made, it's worth looking back at where it came from. Long before the Spanish arrived in Mexico, the indigenous peoples of the region were already fermenting drinks from the agave plant. They made a milky, slightly sour beverage called pulque, which was deeply tied to rituals and religion. When the Spanish conquistadors ran out of their own brandy in the 1500s, they began distilling agave-based drinks, giving rise to something closer to the tequila we know today. By the 1600s, the first large-scale distilleries were operating near the town of Tequila in Jalisco, and over time, this region became the heart of production. The Mexican government later declared that true tequila can only be made in certain regions of Mexico, in much the same way that champagne can only come from Champagne in France. This protected status makes tequila not just a drink, but also a cultural treasure of Mexico. At the core of tequila lies the blue agave, a spiky, cactus-like plant that actually isn't a cactus at all, but a succulent. This plant grows in the volcanic soils of certain Mexican regions, particularly in Jalisco, which is considered the heartland of tequila. The agave doesn't rush its growth. It can take anywhere from 7 to 10 years to mature fully, and sometimes even longer. Imagine that. Nearly a decade of sunlight, rain, and soil nutrients are invested before a single bottle of tequila even exists. When the plant is ready, its thick, fleshy leaves spread outward in a rosette pattern, protecting the prize center called the piña. The piña looks a lot like a massive pineapple, weighing anywhere between 40 to 90 kilograms. This is where all the fermentable sugars are concentrated, and it's what distillers need to make tequila. But harvesting these piñas isn't done by machine. It's an art form performed by skilled workers known as Jimadores. Jimadores use a sharp, flat-bladed tool called a koa to skillfully slice away the agave's spiky leaves, exposing the piña. It's not easy work. Imagine swinging a heavy blade under the hot sun, day after day, with the precision needed to avoid wasting any part of the plant. What makes their role so important is that the timing of the harvest has to be just right. If the agave is cut too early, it won't have developed enough sugar for fermentation. If it's cut too late, the sugars may begin to degrade, which changes the flavor of the final spirit. Once the piñas are freed from their leaves, they're loaded onto trucks and hauled to the distillery. Even at this point, they're just raw plant material, and it'll take a series of transformations to turn them into the tequila that ends up in a glass. When the piñas reach the distillery, they're chopped into smaller pieces and placed inside large ovens. Traditionally, these were stone or brick ovens where the agave would slowly roast for up to 48 hours. Modern facilities sometimes use stainless steel autoclaves that cook the agave with steam, which is faster but still designed to preserve the unique flavors. The purpose of cooking is simple. It converts the tough inulin starches in the agave into fermentable sugars. After hours of steaming, The once hard piñas soften, their fibrous structure breaking down, and a sweet, caramel-like aroma fills the air. This stage is essential because without cooking, the sugars remain locked inside the plant. When the doors to the ovens finally open, the golden brown agave chunks are sticky, fragrant, and ready for the next step, extraction. Now that the agave is cooked, it needs to give up its precious juice, known as aguamiel, or honey water. Traditionally, this was done with a massive stone wheel called a tahona, which would be pulled in circles, crushing the softened agave fibers and squeezing out the liquid. Some artisanal tequila makers still use this method today because it produces a more complex, earthy flavor. However, in larger distilleries, modern roller mills have taken over the job. They shred the agave fibers and wash them with water to extract the sugary liquid efficiently. At this point, what you have is a sweet golden juice that's ready to be fermented. Fermentation is where the magic of biology meets the art of tequila making. The aguamiel is poured into large tanks, which can be made of wood, stainless steel, or even concrete, depending on the style the distillery wants to achieve. Yeast is then added, either cultivated strains or naturally occurring wild yeasts from the environment. Over the course of several days, the yeast consumes the sugars and transforms them into alcohol, along with a wide range of flavorful compounds. This is where tequila begins to develop its personality. Some fermentations might take only a few days, while traditional slower processes can take a week or more, allowing richer flavors to develop. What's left is a kind of agave beer with a relatively low alcohol content, usually around 5 to 7%. Next comes distillation, the process of purifying and concentrating the alcohol. The fermented liquid is transferred into copper or stainless steel stills, where it's heated until the alcohol vaporizes and then condensed back into liquid. Tequila is typically distilled twice. The first distillation, known as ordinario, produces a rough spirit. The second distillation refines it further, bringing the alcohol level up and enhancing the clean, crisp flavors of agave. At this point, you finally have something recognizable as tequila. But the journey doesn't always end here. The spirit can be bottled immediately as blanco tequila, or it can be aged in wooden barrels to create different styles. Tequila comes in several categories, each defined by how long it's aged. Blanco or silver tequila is bottled straight after distillation or after a short rest in stainless steel, keeping its pure vegetal agave character. Reposado is aged at least 2 months, but less than a year in oak barrels, giving it a golden color and a smooth, mellow taste. Añejo takes it further, resting for 1 to 3 years in oak, absorbing deep vanilla, caramel, and spice notes. Extra Añejo, the most luxurious category, is aged for more than 3 years, offering a flavor profile closer to fine whiskey or cognac. These aging processes not only change the color and flavor, but also add to the artistry of tequila making, showing how versatile this spirit can be. So the next time you raise a glass of tequila, remember that it represents far more than a quick drink. It's the result of years of growth in volcanic soil, careful work by Jimadores, patient cooking and fermentation, and the masterful touch of distillers who balance tradition with innovation. Tequila is history, culture, and craftsmanship bottled into one spirit. Whether you prefer it in a margarita, sip neat, or even with that classic salt and lime, there's a whole story inside every drop. And now, when you take your next sip, you'll know exactly what went into making it. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.